on Twitter. I want to break up Twitter. That's what I want to do. Twitter's a monopoly for all intents and purposes.
Right.
Okay? Facebook is a monopoly.
Yeah.
Instagram, Facebook owns Instagram.
And Google.
Look at Google. Google, all of the talk about Google, what I'm not hearing from anyone is, maybe what we should just do is we should just do what we did with Microsoft. Break them up. Okay? Now, I can hear people out there hollering and saying, "Oh, Ben, I thought you were a conservative and you believe in the free market and all that stuff." And I'm going, I am a conservative. That's why I don't have a doctrinaire ideological attachment to the free market. Okay? I believe in the free market, but I think that there are exceptions to the free market, and I think that sometimes we have an obligation as society and as a government to step in and to say, okay, we're going to break up this monopoly for the good of society, and then let people again deal with it in a free market fashion. Chris, over to you.
I've heard people put forth the argument that, well, Twitter is a private company, so they can ban whoever they want to. It's a private company. So I would say to those people, so that means that if I own a series of golf courses, I can say, you people of that religion, I don't want you at my golf course because it's a private company. It's my golf course. I can do what I want. Well, it's my restaurant. I can ban whoever I want. Yeah. Hey, same rules.
Well, yeah, and you know what, Chris? To be honest with you, to taking what I've said to its extreme position, I would say that would be okay with me. If you have a golf course, and the golf course says no Jews allowed, that's okay with me. I'm not going to golf there. Yeah. And presumably we live in a society where the pressure, 100 years ago maybe it would have been different. Yeah. But today, a golf club like that generally won't survive. And if it survives with its limited number of people, all the power to them.
Yeah.
I do believe that Twitter has the right to ban people because it's a private company.
Right.
But I do not believe that Twitter's right to ban people because it's a private company should be having a profound and general effect on society and on the expression of ideas and the diversity of ideas. And the only reason they can do that as a private company is because they are also a monopoly. Break up the monopoly, okay?
Like the telephone company.
I don't think what Twitter did was... when you look at this, was it Parler or whatever you want to say? Yeah. Okay, for Amazon to say we're not going to let those guys develop into a viable alternative to Twitter because there's some racists on it or whatever. Again, I don't believe for a second that the CEO of Twitter didn't have a private conversation somewhere along the line with the CEO of Amazon, okay?
Exactly.
And they came up with, this is how monopolies work.
Yeah.
And monopolies are always bad. So that's the exception in my mind to the whole thing about the, a free economy. A free economy means a free economy. And if it means that you have to step in to create the conditions for a free economy in certain sectors, then I think that's a legitimate use of government.
Yeah, hopefully people would look at... Go ahead, Dick. Go ahead.
All right, thank you. I just was going to say that I think, Joseph, that this does fall under the legitimate use of government, because how can people get allow the functioning of when you have a monopoly, you're interfering in the proper and regular and normal operation of the free market by interfering with people's ability to choose amongst competitors. If there are no competitors, it's basically an economic dictatorship. If you had, let's say, Sears Roebuck, corner the market on gold watches, which is where they got started, fixing pocket watches. If they corner the market and they buy up all the competition so that no matter what they charge, if you want your watch fixed, you got to pay it, that's not the free market. That's a dictatorship, an economic dictatorship. And I think the state has the right, just as they do, to prevent the state from, prevent foreign invaders from coming in and laying waste to our society. That this is kind of, I'm not going to say it's a foreign invasion, but it falls under the same heading of defending the people against situations that they otherwise could not defend themselves against. And I think that is a proper role for the role of government, and it's within how do I say this? It's within the purview of being a conservative, because as you put it, if you're really a conservative, you believe that there is a proper role for government, and I think this meets that acid test.
Let me just read a couple of quick quotes from Friedrich Hayek. I was just looking up. Okay, so this is one of his observations, and this is a quote: "The chief evil is unlimited government. Nobody is qualified to wield unlimited power." So that's the first thing. And then going back to the quote I was trying to come up with before, it's not the source of power. In other words, it's you people say, well, you can through democratic institutions that you can control our arbitrary power. And Friedrich Hayek points out that no, it's not the source of power that prevents it becoming limited, that prevents power from becoming arbitrary. It's the limitation of power. So even in a democracy, okay, you can have what Alexis de Tocqueville talked about in his book on democracy in America, democratic despotism, and I think that you can see some of that emerging in the United States amongst some of the other things. I think if you're looking for a book to read, Political Science on Democracy in America, by Alexis de Tocqueville, is for me top of the reading list. That man was a freak. Like today, if you read today what he wrote 180 years ago now, 190 years ago or thereabouts, it's like the guy was living he had a crystal ball. It's amazing how so much of what he wrote about in that book is you see it coming to pass. Kind of like how Winston Churchill was kind of a freak the way he could see things so clearly in the future. I guess there people are like that, but I'm not. I just regurgitate what I've learned.
Well, it's funny you mention some of these people in the past. As far as you talk about George Orwell, 1984. I mean, there's not just one warning about this. There's a plethora of it. We've been warned by everybody from John Wayne to Winston Churchill to the gentleman you just mentioned, the author, to someone as recent as Thomas Sowell, saying that, these kind of actions will garner you these results. And it's not hard to be right when all you do is read the recipe card they're cooking from.
Right.
Then you can say, oh, he's making a loaf of bread. Well, guess what? That wasn't hard to figure out.
Okay, but just remember that great power, unlimited power in the hands of the Democrats or in the hands of the liberals is bad, but it's just as problematic for the same kind of power to be wielded by the Republicans or by Donald Trump. It's, again, what we want to see, what I would argue for is a limitation of power. And what we see more and more and more of, even for good reasons, is more and more power being usurped by the state. And I think that ultimately is dangerous because, one last quote for the evening, right, as Alexander Solzhenitsyn says, right, wrote, in the Gulag Archipelago, the line between good and evil runs through the heart of every man. And his observation was
powerful stuff.
Right. His observation was everybody is capable of good and everybody is capable of evil. And so it's always a mistake to concentrate too much power in the hands of too few people.
That's an excellent message.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I hate to say this, but I'm looking at that clock up on the wall, Nick. It looks a little crooked. I think you mounted it a little crooked there, Nick, but that could just be.
Sure say when I can't defend myself.
That could just be me. I don't know. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it's been great. Chris, great to have you in the studio. It's been far too long, and we got to get you your own show or something, because I think you have a lot to offer. But, we'll have to talk about that to see where that could go.
It's fantastic being here tonight. I really enjoyed it.
And Nick out on
glad to hear that.
Nick out on the farm. And I'm just going to say, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. If you were listening live, great. If you're listening to the podcast, please don't forget to share it. Social media and amongst your friends, family, neighbors, your political allies, but most importantly, your political opponents. Because we like to stir up trouble. At least Nick does. And with that, Nick, I go over to you.
All right, folks, that's it for us tonight. We'll see you all again next week, or tomorrow, or the next day, or whenever you choose to tune in. So with that said, ubicaritas et amor, Deo CBS. Good evening, God bless. Don't let anything disturb your peace, and may you have a fair wind in the following.